Alrighty, looks like we're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another Properties and Beers. Guys, it's great to have you here. I'm Gaurav Gupta, CEO and founder of Ethical Property Investments. We help everyday Aussies invest in high cash flow, ethical properties that both do good and make money. So here's the thing, right? There's a lot of property advice that gets passed down like tradition. Save a 20% deposit, let's aim for negative gearing, and ride it out for 30 years. That's just crazy. It blows my mind. And look, for a while, those things worked. When I was growing up, when I was like 18, 19, which was a little while ago, those things worked. And here's the thing, the game's changed. Most investors aren't really lazy or reckless. They're just playing by the rules that no longer apply. And so in today's lesson, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about breaking down outdated strategies that keep people stuck, showing why Australia might actually be more investable than you think. And number three, revealing how some clients are on track to pay off their mortgage in 10 years or less. So let's pour a drink and jump in. What are we doing today? Per my secret location, we have a drink you can get from 7-Eleven. It's a strong sour yuzu, I assume it is, and it's 9%. That's right, guys, 9%. I'm not kidding. It's a bloody big can. It's like those Monster Energy drink cans. Now, because I like it cold, I've already poured one. So cheers, guys. Oh, tastes exactly like those Kirin 6% um, that we gotten used to over in Australia, and probably now I've had the other versions of this before. It has a stronger effect. Definitely feels like a 9% drink. So if you like to have a decent drink out of one can, this might be the can. And it is based out of Korea and Japan, as far as I'm aware. So it's a sochu-based vodka soda, low sugar for those that are calorie conscious and carb conscious. So if you're deciding whether this or beer, I'd pick this. It's quite delicious. Once again, um, you pick it up at a 7-Eleven out of all places, believe it or not. So let's get started with the party. By the way, if you're here, drop me a comment, drop me a line, and let me know if there's anything you want to chat about. Now, let's chat about the first thing we were going to look at in our properties and business, the strategies that need to go. And you ever notice how our parents had to save years just to buy one property? And here's the thing: these days, those strategies might actually set you back because negative gearing isn't what it used to be. We've got clients that are geared negatively or neutrally before tax and actually positively geared after, and that's quite a normal situation for what we can achieve. Now, here's the thing: by the time you save for 20%, it's great in theory, but by the time you save it, the market's already moved on, and you've actually lost more than 10%. So in the past where the advice would have been to ignore lenders, mortgage insurance, etc. Now, I'm not here to give you financial advice. I don't know your personal financial situation, but you might want to reconsider whether you actually want to avoid LMI. There's actually a little sweet spot. So the sweet spot, people, to pay the least amount of LMI. And listen in, here's a little secret. If you want to know how to pay the least amount of LMI for the property you're buying, keep your borrowing to the 88% plus LMI, which is overall borrowing. Overall, you're paying sort of that 90% or 92%. As soon as you go over that 10% deposit, sorry, it's 90% mark, what happens is that you end up paying 3 or 4% LMI, which starts to get a bit ridiculous. Now, yeah, we do have things like the first home buyers scheme that's coming in, et cetera, for the 5% deposits. I'm not talking about that, but if you're looking at investing in property or even buying for your first property you live in, definitely consider that space where it's 88% plus LMI. That sort of is the best avenue where you can get into property for the least amount and pay the least amount of LMI. And look, here's the thing, right? The rules have changed, and if you're still investing the old way, you're probably working harder than you really need to. In fact, some of our clients are actually getting started with less than 100K deposit for a property that can yield over $75,000 per annum gross rental income. And that's crazy, right? But here's the thing: it is possible. Now, that same person would have had to otherwise, save 200,000. How much extra time is it going to save in the current market with the cost of living crisis here to save the extra 10%? In fact, why don't we just manufacture the other 10%, by buying the right way and effectively developing a property, which is what I spoke about on last week's Properties and Beers. So if you want that, I think my team will post some content for that this week in terms of why building is actually the best thing, I believe, for your investment and for the future society of Australia, because we need more houses. We're not. It's not like we're going to hit that 1.2 million dollar target that Treasury set for building houses. Now, before we go further, this is quite nice. I'm going to have to keep pouring myself one. Guys, I think I found my new favorite premix. I might not be able to drive after it, so just um, it is delicious, and luckily I'm not planning on driving today. So be safe out there, kids. The second thing I wanted to chat about is Australia really isn't as unaffordable as you think it is. We're told this whole story by the media. Australia's unaffordable, but really compared to global cities, that's only half the truth. If you look at cost per square meter for land, now I'm going to be particular for land. Places like Sydney and Melbourne are still cheaper than Tokyo, Singapore, Seoul, and heck, per square meter, it's even cheaper than most areas within Bali where most tourists want to live. Yes, that's right. Bali is more expensive than Sydney per square meter. Get that into you. Just like think about it. And we've got to compare apples with apples. In a lot of the Asian countries, people live in more dense, they live higher up, etc. Whereas we don't have that situation in Australia. We all want, I still speak to clients every day. They want that 500 square meter block. Good luck trying to find a 500 square meter piece of block anywhere in Asia, which is our neighbors, for example, for anything less than $2, $3, $4 million within an hour outside of the main CBD. And that's the thing. We are the lucky country in Australia. And so if we're thinking, hey, Australia's expensive, really, it's quite. I don't believe that's the truth. It's actually quite cheap on a worldwide stage. No, rental yields, our national average is nearly 4%. Some cities are even hitting 6%. Our clients are getting between 8 and 18% returns. That's a lot stronger than a lot of international options. In fact, I'm in an international destination right now speaking to funds who are looking to invest into Australia because they believe that's the next growth opportunity for them to park their money. It's a safe place to park their money. And let's not forget, the earning potential per capita GDP in Australia is higher than Canada, UK, and France. Look, here's the thing, we're not overpriced. That's just media spin to get you to click on an article. The key is not what you buy, but how you use it. The strategy actually matters, right? And so, strategically, my throat tells me I need to have some more of this. And time to talk about the mortgage terminator. Yes, the mortgage terminator said that he would be back, and he is. The mortgage terminator returns. Let me ask you this. What if you could pay your entire mortgage off in 10 years or less? That's kind of what the mortgage terminator strategy has done for hundreds of Aussies. It's helped people reduce the debt fast without needing to make extra repayments every week. They're not working harder; they're just working smarter. And we've literally helped people save hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest repayments. And after 2 years, after almost 2 years of running my large mortgage terminator webinar, I'm thinking about bringing the mortgage terminator webinar back. If you want it to happen, drop me a comment below because I'm tired of seeing everyday Aussies get hurt by interest rates and paying much more interest than they should. And they're getting crushed by interest rate rises, right? Then still waiting for that relief that actually never came in the last rate drop and hopefully comes in the next one. So here's the thing, right? Wealth isn't just about what you make, it's about how well you move through the system. And if you're tired of the market and waiting for it, if you're tired of waiting for the market to become affordable, this is your sign to think differently. Here's the thing, don't wait to save, right? Don't wait around for that 20% deposit if that's something that you're looking to wait around because the market will move well beyond that extra 10% growth. You have an opportunity cost in saving there. So if that's something that you feel is a good deal, you might generally want to consider that 88% plus LMI space because it represents the best middle ground. And LMI, by the way, and I'm not being a tax accountant here, but I do know if you speak to your accountant, most accountant will teach you how to deduct LMI as a taxable expense over a period of 5 years as part of depreciation. No, I'm not sure if it's 100% part of depreciation, but there is a way that a mechanism where tax, LMI can get, depreciated or tax deducted, sorry, over 5 years. So if you're considering investing in property, don't wait around, especially in areas like Melbourne. As I said, the market's already growing. Don't work on those old rules of negative gearing because negative gearing just doesn't work according to me. A lot of people would say, "Hey, look, let's do negative gearing and this and that," and I still get people coming, "Oh, well, I'm paying too much tax. Let's do negative gearing." Well, hold on. Why would you? Why would you invest in a property knowing that you're going to lose money on just on the hope of growth when you've got another alternative where you can do neutral or positive get and still get equity growth in your property? That, my friends, is what we're talking about because overall it's about a tax saving and a money income generation, and we can help that happen. It just matter your strategy matters when you're talking about these things. So not everyone's got access to these strategies, and your average buyer's agent or average advisor doesn't have access to these. So you've got to come to a specialist advisor like ourselves to really understand how that works. So if you want to know more, drop me a line. But once again, guys, have a great weekend, and I'm going to finish off the rest of this drink. Cheers, guys.